One and go. Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast. And today, I don't really have any plans. I don't have anything planned out today. It's just gonna be open topics. I will discuss some of the stuff that's going on with ConvoCourses projects. It's amazing. It's starting to become something I've always wanted it to become, a conversation, and so I will be talking about that. But before I start, just to introduce myself, you never heard of me. I mean, more than likely you have not. I'm just a regular cybersecurity guy. I've been doing this for over 20 years now. My entire adult life has been just nothing but cybersecurity or security in some way, shape, or form. And it was a really good decision to get into this field because it hasn't slowed down. It hasn't slowed down with AI. It hasn't slowed down with the economy. Hasn't slowed down with shutdowns. Um, it's such a lucrative and powerful and marketable skill set that I have not been shaken. I mean, I can't say it hasn't affected me at all. I mean, of course, when prices go higher, that affects my personal life and stuff like that. But what I mean is, whereas I'm seeing other people in different jobs very, very impacted by anything that comes along, cybersecurity has been steady, including things like software engineering. Software engineering has been shook, and that's a great field to go into. DevOps and being a developer and stuff like that is definitely awesome to learn that stuff. But I've noticed it really has been impacted by the market. Not to say you can't make money off of it. You definitely can. It's very marketable. It's just they're kind of shaken by every like it their path is being really moved around by all the stuff going on. But it's still super marketable. Still, developers are still, but globalization impacted them because American programmers have to now compete with them planet Earth. They've got like AIs competing. Like now, AI can code now. It's not that their jobs are taken or anything. I'm just saying they're being moved around in a way that I'm not as a G as a cybersecurity person. My job hasn't been moved like that. I mean, there's a lot of talk, but I'm not seeing the impact directly. What I am seeing is in my industry I'm in, which is the government, definitely is getting shaken up by different administrations come in and then they can change things like the shutdowns impacting us. We've lost a lot of good people are kind of moving around in the government sector, moving from one. Give you an example, like I was in one department, and it's being very influenced by politics, so much so that we lost a lot of good people. Like a lot of people care about their job, a lot of people who are talented, a lot of people who are very skilled. They're just like, I don't know I just wanted to come here and do a dope ass job. I don't want to deal with all this politics, so they left, including myself. I left. I went to another department because it's like, what are you guys doing? Well, are we going to protect systems or not? So yeah, that's something that's been affected. Different being in the government sector has been impacted by another administration comes in, and I'm working in the executive branch, right? So if another administration comes in and they have a different mandate on what they want to do, and people start moving in that direction, and it does, that definitely changes things. That definitely impacts my job, but doesn't mean I'm not going to have a job. It just means I got to make different decisions for my family, So that's kind of what's going on. Hey Larry, how you doing, man? Larry is a huge part of the ConvoCourses community. Been setting up different interviews and stuff in the back end. So Larry, shout out Larry. So yeah, I don't really have any plans today. There are some things on the community itself I want to talk about. But if you guys have any questions, I'm a longtime cybersecurity person. My specialty is to help other people to get in this field because it's been so helpful to me and my family. It's helped me to travel the world. It's helped me to do other things like buy properties or make businesses and make mistakes and help my kids, help other people. It's been very rewarding for me and very stable. So I want to help other. My mission is to help other people to come in this path. People who want to, because it's definitely not for everyone, and there is a learning curve and things like that. It's just there's certain people are in a certain position where they can very easily kind of make a transition, or not so easily, but they want have the will and they have the willpower to come and make this transition and want to do it. And so I'm here for you. So that's what I'm here to do right now. ConvoCourses.com. You come here, it's free. I can't promise it's gonna be free forever. But right now I'm just messing around. But it's free to come in, free to join, free to have a conversation. And that's what we're doing here. So that's my main purpose. Okay, I got one question. Somebody said, Two says, would you recommend CASP or associated CISSP after the CYSA? So CYSA is entry level certification or a intermediate. I'm not sure which one it is, but it focuses on, if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's SOC analyst type certification from CompTIA. So I know a few people who have it and have spoken highly of it. And so now you're wanting to do like a intermediate to expert level certification, which good on you. That's definitely number one. That's a great move to make. Now what you want to do is go from, you've done the entry level. Now you're trying to make that different level up, and CASP will definitely do that for you, or the CISSP. I'm partial to the CISSP only because right now it's more marketable. It's a more marketable certification, and from what I've heard, it's easier than the CASP, which now is called CompTIA Security X, by the way. They changed the name and the marketing for it. I personally, if I was in your position, I would focus all my energy on the CISSP. But I don't have a CASP Plus. I have a CISSP. I don't have a CASP Plus. But the reason why I'm saying this is because CISSP is way more marketable right now. CASP Plus is going through some sort of marketing transition where they're going to start calling it Security X. The marketability of a certification definitely matters. It can make it so that it's way more marketable eventually than the CISSP. But right now, CISSP is way more marketable. Way more people know what it is. Way more people seek it out. Way more employers seek it out. And then you said associate CISSP. That's the only thing that I'm kind of, associate CISSP means that you don't have the 5 years, or you don't have all the requirements that's required, that's needed to get the CISSP. So you're going to go sit for the test, take it, and then eventually get on as a full CISSP. I would still do that over CASP. I would still do that over CASP. I would personally go because it's more marketable, as more people know what it is. That's why I would do it. But not to say CASP is dope though. CASP is a serious certification. So that's definitely worth your time too. But if it was me, that's what I'm just giving you my 2 cents. Let me see. I got more questions coming from TikTok, but for now, let me go to YouTube. And just so you guys know, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I'm on I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. So you guys can, right now I'm live. You can talk to me, all that kind of stuff. Let me see. David Petrell says, I want to learn cloud. I'm studying for the CCSP. CCSP is ISC2's implementation of cloud certifications. So ISC2 is the guys who make the CISSP. So CISSP is like the gold standard of certifications. It's very, very marketable, right? How influential is it on your, like, how much will you know after you take it? I mean, I don't know. That's debatable. How how impactful is it towards your skill set? Like, I don't know about. I'm not talking about that. Right. So if you want to come here and debate me on CISSP, like, you win. Like, you win. I'm just saying it's more marketable. So anyway, ISC2 has the gold standard of security certifications, which is the CIS. Right now, CISP, that could change. This market's constantly moving and changing. So that eventually it will change. But right now, they have the top, one of the top cybersecurity certification and a couple other awesome certifications. And their answer to cloud was something called the CCSP. So it's a high level certification. And I know that at my job at Verizon, when I was a consultant, and we had consultants that would specialize in cloud. And for those of us who wanted to get into that, they offered. They said, "Look, we need more people to specialize in cloud so we can do consultation for security in cloud." And one of the things we had to get was a CCSP. One was CCSP. The other one was an AWS certification, but I think it was the professional or something. It was a high level AWS certification, and then they had one for Google. There was like 3 certifications that we were allowed to take, but they were all like professional level certifications, and CSP was one of those. So CCSP is no joke. How marketable is it if you are getting into the industry? I think that vendor certifications are more marketable than the CSP, but CCSP is definitely one of the top tier professional level certifications. So David, man, congrats to that, man. Go for it. Let me see. Somebody said, "Where have you been?" I don't know if that's to me or to somebody else. Let me see. Let me see. More questions. More questions. Oh, thank you so much. You're welcome. As a second year university cybersecurity student with no experience, I am very confused about where to start. I understand, Sulak. Where you start is where you happen to be standing right now. I know that sounds like some esoteric bullshit, but I'm about to tell you exactly what you do. So what you're gonna do if you're a university student is right now you need to get experience. I know there's a lot of narratives out there. There's narratives saying don't get a degree, it's a waste of time, don't do it. There's a narrative that says just get certifications, that's all you got to get. And then there's a narrative that says there's all these different narratives that are very influential, and they're probably popping up in your algorithm, right? Whether you go on TikTok or you go on, I know you know what I'm talking about, right? Because I see these too, and they're very influential. And you go down these rabbit holes and stuff. You need to zoom out. All right, zoom out. What I mean by that is look at all the data. And I'm about to clue you in on some of that data. And I don't want you to just listen to me, some random talking head on the internet. I want you to see data. And so let me show you numbers. And then I'll get to where you should go from here. And all of you guys who have been doing this for a long time, Larry, David, Petrell, you guys who are already in this industry, you guys give your 2 cents. So we've got a university student, right? We have a university student who is in cybersecurity program, and they're like, man, where do I start? How do I get in? What do I do? Right. So now they're being influenced by all these different talking heads online. And what do you think they should do? You as professionals who already are in the GRC space, already working for the government, already making, good money or whatever, have been doing this for 20 plus years. What should a student do right now? If you were in their shoes, what would you do? And I'm going to read your comments. So chime in. But right now I'm going to go to LinkedIn and show some real data here. So let me show my screen. And I just want to show you the market, what I see, right? What we all see when we're looking at this. Let me move this over here. All right. So actually, maybe we make this bigger. Okay. So here we are right here, right? This is the market. This is when I say market, this is what I mean. So if I type in cyber security, I'm going to look at jobs. You can follow along with me if you like. I'm all I did was I'm on LinkedIn. I typed in cybersecurity and I'm typing in jobs. You want to know how to get a job. You're a university student. How do you get in this field? Now, all I did was type in cybersecurity. Now it is flagged on the United States. You know, wherever you happen to be, you want to change this to your location. Um, these guys, what I'm trying to show you here is that most of these people are looking for experience. So let's just type this first one here. Let's just click this. They're looking for a very specific set of skills. So look at the skill set that they're looking for. And normally they want you to come in and hit the ground running. How do you do that? Now, this is a cloud architect job. So this is just so you know, cloud architect jobs, I can barely get I've been doing this 20 years and I can barely get one of these jobs because an architect is very, 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 very deep and wide in a lot of different things. But let's just look at the kind of things that they're wanting here. They want somebody who can design, implement, and maintain secure architecture. They are looking for somebody who can collaborate and influence, partner with business, technical stakeholders, and align. Now, right now, you're probably discouraged, like, man, I can't do this shit. Like, what the hell? But I want you to just see my point. I just want you to see my point. They're looking for a specific set of skills. And they want you to be able to do those skills. Now, first of all, look at this. Look at this number right here. You're not going to probably more than likely not going to start at this number. $255,000 working at OpenAI, right? Probably not. This is a highly specialized GRC type person. They're looking for, let's look specifically at what they're looking at, what they're looking for, rather. If they have the job details, sometimes they don't. So I'm going to click on this. I want to see the actual job description here. Lead complex federal authorization for FedRAMP. They want you to know how to do FedRAMP ATOs. They want you to know frameworks. They want you to be able to translate government security frameworks, NIST 800, NIST 8171, and others, right? This is the kind of stuff they want you to be able to do. They want you to have 8 years of experience, blah, 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 blah. My point is you need to get experience immediately. Get your degree, right? Finish it up because that's going to make you way more competitive. But you need to be able to have skills. Like you need to be able to do the work as much as possible. So now the question you should be asking is like, well, what do I do? Well, right now you can be doing projects. You can be setting up your own router on campus or in your house. You can be setting up your own wireless networks. You can be setting up your own. It depends on what branch what you want to do, because IT is a very huge field. Cybersecurity it's in IT, but it is still a gigantic umbrella. You can go into cryptography, you can go into incident response, you can go into GRC, you can go into, there's so many different areas you can go into, right? You need to choose like where you want to focus on first. Some good ones would be cloud network engineering. Just off the top of my head, those are some of the more core fundamental things that you could learn that will set you on a really tight path. Networking and cloud are my two top go-to. If I was starting off right now, I would be sharpening my skills on one of those two, because those are foundational knowledge that once you know that to a certain level, other things, you can build other things on top of it, you know. So that's where I would start if I were you. I would focus on like networking skills. Virtualization is also good. Any kind of virtualization is really, really good. But cloud or networking is where I would do my projects. Make your own apps. You can make your own app. And these days, you don't even have to be a coder to make an app. You can make your own app, put it out there, put it on advertise it on GitHub, right? That's a project you could do. And then when you are talking to an employer, which you will inevitably, you will talk to an employer, you can point them to your GitHub and say, hey, I made this project. And I'm not talking about an app that's going to make $1 billion and get bought by Meta. I'm talking about some app that helps you out. Like make your own app or your own service or whatever, just to mess around with it. Something that's solid enough to where you can point it to other people and say, yeah, I made this. This was a project I did. This demonstrates what you know. You can do projects on at your school. A person who's followed me for years, like this dude, man, holy shit, so sharp. He's in college. What he did is he became a working student, and so essentially he was helping them fix laptops, image laptops, things, basic help desk stuff. But that skill right there is definitely going to get him in the door at some company. Another thing you can do is, and I see some comments popping up here that I'm gonna read to you too. Some other people who are very skilled that's been doing this for a long time have some advice for you. Another thing I would encourage you to do is do internships, apprenticeships, and network as much as possible. 50% of the jobs I've gotten has been from networking with other people, like friends, uh, other coworkers from other jobs, and you being in college, like you can network with other students. Like students, I'm sure you've heard of students who got a job at DuPont or at wherever, right? Local. Talk to them. Open up. Talk to them. And say, man, how did you get in there, right? So, in college gives you a couple advantages that a lot of us don't get. You have an advantage that a lot of people don't have. Not only will you be competitive by getting the degree once you get it, once you're done, um, but also when you're in college, you can network, but you got to use these things that you have at your disposal. Like if you don't use it, you lose it. Use your connections from all the peers that you are working with in the school, the other students. Use the network that some of the connections the college itself has, where they have these partnerships with different organizations where they're hiring students directly, even before they're done with their degree. um, Internships, apprenticeships, apply for those. I can't, as a non-student, I can't apply for some of the jobs that you to you. So apply, like take advantage of all the things that school gives you. Let me see if anybody else has commented to add to this. I got a LinkedIn user says, attain skills while in school. This is exactly what I'm saying, because pure academics without experience will not do much right now. Yes, especially in this market, right? For all the talking heads, for all the narratives saying that, oh, there's no jobs and America's going to collapse and blah, 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 blah. One thing they're right about is that there is an economic downturn. There are there is so much uncertainty in the market that people are not hiring, or they're letting people go. They're shifting jobs are shift. There's so many changes happening all at once that you can clearly see there's an economic downturn. Now, one positive to all of this, one stable thing I can say is, because you're in cybersecurity, I just quit my last job to work another job. Like people are, oh, don't quit, don't. There's the market, there's no jobs. It was harder to find a job, I'm not gonna lie, but they need cybersecurity people, man. Like they're starving for good cybersecurity people. Now, what they're gonna want, just like this user just said, is you gotta have more than just academic knowledge. You need to have hands-on experience. Like you should be able to point to something and say, "Yeah, I set up this or that network. Here's the project I did. I had to make sure I knew how to back up my router. Had to make sure that I could connect that to a Wi-Fi network. I'm very skilled with this. I'm very skilled with that because I've done it before. I know Linux. I set up a Linux system. I put that on my network. You should be able to say, yeah, this is what I did, because they want to know how you're going to be able to come in, learn very quickly, and hit the ground running. That means like you come in, you're a go-getter. Not only are you excited to do the work, but you know how to do X, Y, and Z for them. So That's what I would tell you to do. Get that experience. Let me see if there's anybody else in here who had additional comments on this. I think, did Larry talk about this? Maybe he did. Let me see. Um, Personal opinion is getting the Security Plus. I wish I would have studied the Security Plus while going to college. Okay, Larry is chiming in on this. Here's some more advice from. So Larry, Mr. Larry is his background. This dude right here is a veteran, and has worked as a project manager for quite some time. So project management is aligned with what I do. Like a lot of the gigantic projects I do, we need a project manager to help us get through that. So a lot of times, cybersecurity is working very closely with organizations and other other career paths like project managers who can guide us in the right direction. So anyway, he says personal opinion is that you should get a Security Plus. I wish I would have studied for the Security Plus while going to college, as it mirrored a lot of the subject matter that I was studying. Yes. Yeah, that's another thing. The more skills you can get your hands on, right? And be able to point back to that stuff and tell them this is a transferable skill. Like this thing I do, it will help your organization. And then certifications. One of the best certifications to get, because marketability, regardless of how you feel about it, it's a marketable certification, is the Security Plus, especially as a cybersecurity person. And then they go on to say most jobs have some sort of certification as a requirement, and Security Plus is a good start on building on this. Now, keep in mind, this is a person who's in the field right now. Um, it's essentially mandatory when working with the U.S. government. If you want to go into the government sector, they look for Security Plus, CISSP, and some other high level certifications that are just make this set you apart, and it ticks all the boxes that they want. Um, Fortunately or unfortunately in the government sector, but if you're not, there's you don't have to get it, but it's definitely going to help you. Security Plus in particular. And then he says, then you'll have to drill down and pick a lane. What interests you? What do you happen to have any other skills? Good with numbers, good with your hands-on computers, have banking, hospital background. Yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is exactly what I'm saying right here. Then another person says, attaining skills while in school, because pure academics. Yeah, we already read this one. Yes, pure academics is only going to get you so far. You're gonna got to get those hands-on skills. But from where you're sitting, that's the easy, fun part for you. You know. Let me see. I agree with Larry. Security Plus and other certifications, as well as hands-on experience. Yes, and he says hands-on experience is a no-brainer. Take anything that you can that will give you hands-on experience, as it's the most valuable and will provide the highest return on investment for your time. Absolutely. Anytime, just to piggyback on what Larry's saying, anytime I've leveled up, it came because I did some hands-on experience myself. Like when I transitioned to cloud, I mean, I recently. It's not like I did it 5 years ago. I mean, recently, like within the last few months. That it I did hands-on first. Like, and once I did hands-on, a light bulb came on, and I was like, got it, got it. And then when I went into networking, like many years ago, I was like a network engineer. Same thing. I had to do hands-on, and then that was how I transitioned. So it's the greatest return on it. I couldn't have said it better myself. The greatest return on investment is hands-on experience. Now, the degree and a certification is just like, it's like rocket fuel for escape velocity to get to the next planet, man. It's like you definitely want to do that. I would definitely do it. Um, New field is heating. Okay, this is another topic. So I hope that helps you. Um, Appreciate everybody chiming in. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, David. Thank you to LinkedIn users. I appreciate you guys for the insightful words of wisdom. Let me see. I've got some more folks chiming in real quick, but let me take this LinkedIn user's comment here. He says, new field that is heating up: AI, security, GRC, and AI. Learn technology, learn the fundamentals. Yeah, I guess this was a piggyback off of another thing that we were talking about before. Yeah, I agree with that too. Let me see here. Taking more comments before I open this. Talk about my own stuff here. Maybe one more before I talk about some stuff we're doing in ConvoCourses. Let me see. Somebody said I'm getting my associate's degree in cybersecurity, Security Plus certified, but lost with the process. Yes, B, I need more context of what your question is. It sounds like you're going the right direction. Only thing I would add to that is kind of what we were talking about with our last questioner, which is to get as much experience, hands-on experience as you can, because that's when you go to the interview, they want to know what transferable skills you have. Skills meaning what can you do? Not what you know. Like, it's great to know things, but can you apply that knowledge in an environment? And that doesn't mean, what did you do at your last job? Of course, if you have that experience, that doesn't just mean that. It could be a project you have at your house. It could be a project you did in school, but you need to be able to say, yes, I can do that. As a matter of fact, I set up a Kubernetes system myself. As a matter of fact, I set up a Linux system network myself, a whole Linux based network. And it's a mixed mode environment. It has Microsoft. It has an Ubuntu system on it. It has a Mac system on it, and I made them all talk together, and I do it on a regular basis. Let me see. Okay, so let me take a commercial break here, and I want to advertise our group here. So ConvoCourses.com, absolutely free to join. That's LinkedIn. Absolutely free to join. Where we are talking, it's growing, it's brand new, right? So there's all kinds of benefits to jump in on something that's absolutely brand new. But if you join right now, it's at login.convocourses.com, or you can just go to convocourses.com. You'll see all the links and everything to get in right now for free. It's a part of a conversation. That's the whole purpose of this thing that we're creating, is to have a conversation with people. And the reason why I came up with this is because as an instructor, I was an instructor for a couple years, and doing IT stuff, GRC, teaching GRC, flying from site to site. And I realized as I'm talking to students that I was learning as much as they were learning. I'd be in there teaching, after my 10 plus years of experience, and I was teaching them about NIST 800, and they'd be telling me about specific issues they're having, and we'd have a conversation about it. And I was learning best from conversations, and they were learning best from conversations. Thus the name ConvoCourses, conversations. And all of these are conversations that we've been having together. There's only 50 plus people. This number's inflated because some of these are test accounts where I'm testing out the platform. But coming soon, some of the perks you get is I'm going to be releasing my journey into AWS. It's just going to be a free book, free for a limited time, only on Amazon. It's coming very, very soon. Like, it's going to be within this month. And that's only going to go to people who follow me, because they're going to see the message pop up that it's, with the link and everything. So that's coming soon. Other things. Look at this. Larry just posted a free course that's at Will Reed's site. So we're not promoting just our own stuff. There's other folks who are associated with us, or come on the show, or just want to help people out. And this one's teaching about the ISO 27001 lead auditor. So yeah, so there's all types of resources that you can get to. And what I'm most excited about is things like this. Ryan who's come on the show before, and I love have him again, uh, is developing in real time a study guide for the CompTIA Security Plus. CompTIA Security. Let me show you what he has so far. This is real time development of this cheat sheet that he's developing, of this guidebook about how to pass the CompTIA Security Plus exam. And Ryan, a long time follower of ConvoCourses and contributor, he put this together, and this is awesome. This is breaking down all the domains that you need for the, and he is developing this in real time, asking for comments like, how can you, is there anything else you guys want to add to this? Is there, do you see any issues with this? This is open source. And this is the kind of thing that I love about this community, is that people can come in here, develop something like this, offer it to others, and the return on investment is that you get to help people out. Here's another one. This one comes from a program manager who says, "Hey, Bruce, like, I want to contribute a full blown POAM productivity playbook," and this thing is incredible. I read through it. I'm like, damn, is this real? Is this in the field right now? This is awesome. So if you come to ConvoCourses, well, here's what you'll see. You come in, and it's still in development. We're still adding things, but there's going to be a lot of stuff added here. But look, you can get this downloadable playbook if you happen to be in DoD and want to learn more about, or just want to download this and use it for yourself. This plan of action milestone playbook. This is another one from Ryan. He has a CGRC study guide, and this is teaching you how to pass the CGRC. That's from IC2 Squared. Comprehensive guide. And if you want to go deeper, I've got the GRC roadmap, where I'm doing for a limited time, doing one-on-ones with people to help them with their GRC roadmap, like how to get from point A to point B. So that's all happening right now. Tons of free courses that are going to be coming, free downloadables, free content, and there's an ongoing discussion where we're talking about our career path or new things that we found. And I remember a few days ago, here's a job that I posted, but here's another one where Larry posted a AI certificate. Here it is, Sec AI. I didn't even know anything about this until Larry posted it, and I read about it. And they're right now, CompTIA has this thing where they're trying to get cybersecurity pros to come in there and test out their new certification. So yeah, so there's all kinds of resources here. This is our community where we're just building all this stuff together. And you've got other things like this, just a very useful post where we've got somebody who's in FANG. Let me see. This one's from a security expert, DR, who posted this. He says, a bit about me. My path wasn't traditional. Says, I have soft skills, degree in communications, not even in a technical field, but I built my experience through on the ground experience in the 1980s. So this is somebody who is passing on very crucial knowledge to the next generation of people. This is the kind of stuff that I love about this community. And this has been going on for a long time. Like, now I have a place where it's all documented, you know. And for those of you who are already been following me for all these years and already follow me on Thinkific, here's my Thinkific site. I'm going to be transitioning a lot of this stuff over. This one will be up for a couple more years. You know, don't worry. All the content that's on this site, I'm transitioning it over to a better platform, so you won't lose access to this if you already paid for your access to this. But all the free stuff from here, I'm going to be transitioning it over to the new site. It's going to take me a while to do that, but I'm in the process of doing it. So yeah, that's what's going on. Keep following along. It's going to grow over time. This is what I envision courses being like this is the direction that I wanted it to go, and finally it's going in that direction because I found a proper platform to do that. Thank you for all the contributors. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, John G. You know who you are, Ryan, and everybody else who's DR security expert, and everybody else who's been in there posting things and answering questions. And that's the direction that I want to go in. And eventually, what I want to do is have deeper paid courses, projects, all kinds of things where we can actually have affiliates to where you guys can, if you have a link, you can go ahead and promote it. Like if you believe in something, you'd be like, this is really good. I'm going to give this link to some friends of mine. They buy it. You make some profit off of that if they purchase it. You know, stuff like that is really what I want to do. But it's going to take some time to do. And that's projects, services, all that kind of thing. And this platform will allow us to do that. Okay, let me see. I've got more questions here on TikTok. When I say I gave up on the job market, I even stopped applying for jobs. Yeah, I always find it disappointing when I hear that, especially when people have IT experience and they say that they just quit. Because I've had the exact opposite thing happen in my career. And where I'm constantly getting job offers, job opportunities that turn into job offers, I should say. And the reason I started this was because I got so many questions about how to get IT jobs. And all I did was share exactly what I did. And it's helped some people. You know, over the years, I've helped people get jobs using the techniques that I put out there. And the reason why I know it works because I've been doing it for years. And it's, like IT AI hasn't stopped it. It's just made it so that I can do that faster. So I'm still trying to help people to get jobs. And if you want to know a way to do it, like I'm your guy. Like I can tell you exactly how I've been able to do it. There's no guarantee that it will work for you. Like, it does definitely depends on your background and if you're willing to work for it, if you're willing to make changes in things you've been doing that's not working. I mean, I myself, when things don't work, right, I have to try something else, right? So I think a lot of times, I'm not saying this is not a bad job market, right? I know it's crazy right now. Like there's too many things happening and changing all at once. We've got the whole economy shifting. We've got something happened with globalism itself is shifting from to other countries. You've got tariffs that are, I mean, causing all kinds of changes and modifications to the way retailers have to do business, and they're freezing their hiring because they got to adjust to what's going on with tariffs, which are changing from month to month. You've I'm in the government sector. I mean, Doge is letting people go. We got a government shutdown. We've got all this political stuff going on inside of our departments, which is I've never seen it to this degree before. Working in the branch is to a point where even I'm like, damn, I've got to change. I can't even stay in the government sector anymore. I've got to move. I don't want to be in a sector that's tainted by so much politics. There's changes. I'm not saying that there's not problems in the economy, but I want to say that I believe that it's because there's so many shifts happening in the economy. There's just all these gigantic market shifts happening. It's not just one thing, I think. And it's not just, oh, it's Trump. I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's just AI or something. I think it's all these things all happening at once. And there's like a shift. Like it's like a pole shift. Like the earth was south and north, and now it's flipped. There's a pole shift that's happening right now, and everybody has to adjust to that. And my job is to tell you guys, like, here's what I did I just quit my job during this market downturn. I just got another job that's better for me, in a better place with a better whole different situation. And here's how I did it. And so that this whole thing is the whole purpose of ConvoCourses is to help us together to take people from that are in the market, people like Larry, people like Security Expert, people like Ryan, and say, look, here's what I'm seeing. You know, outside of all the narratives that are trying to tell you this or that, here's what I saw. Here's what actually happened to me. And here's how you can make moves to step in the right direction to make a move. Larry goes on to say, um, member for 12 months, levels, security. Oh, he's going through all of the levels that I have in. What are your thoughts? Okay, he says, what are your thoughts on identity and access management? I'm seeing a lot of testimonials of individuals breaking into cybersecurity through IAM. It seems to be an area that that people are always looking for. IAM, well, it's been a part of what I've had to know for many years. Being an IAM person, I'm not specifically in that part of cybersecurity. Um, that said, at my current role, new job that I just got, we are a more of an integral part of the IAM process. Um, I would say I can't speak on whether it's a larger market now. I'm not sure. I don't follow it that closely. I would say it's more important. Yeah, I would say it's more important because of zero trust. Yeah. So zero trust is where you have you have a bunch of, like, let's say a network, right? Imagine a network of a whole bunch of systems, nodes, all devices on a network, right? And you have a firewall on that network. You only allowing certain people to come in and out. So now with zero trust, you take it a step further. Inside of the internal network, you have layers of security inside of that network where system A and B are inside the network, but they don't automatically trust each other. This one has to authenticate to get to this one. Whereas before, it was kind of like a castle. You had a castle with a courtyard and everything's protected inside of that courtyard, right? The castle walls protect everything. Behind the firewall, everything's protected inside. These days, it's so crazy right now. You've got to have you can't, those A and B that's inside the courtyard can't trust each other because maybe A was compromised and will take over B. So now zero trust, you have to have things like identity and access management so that they can talk to one another. So what's happened is the reason why it's more popular now is because you can't have zero trust without proper identity and access management. So we have, like, right now we have a whole team that's all they do is manage PKI keys, because they have to manage how have a certificate for each system to talk to one another, and they're constantly rotating those keys because it's not trusting, those systems are not trusting each other. So the reason why it's blown up is because of zero trust, right? And the LinkedIn user says IAM came back with adoption of cloud and zero trust architecture. That's right. Yeah. So that's why, like, this is, I just thought about, because I'm like, oh shit, that's why, right? It's zero trust. That's why, for sure. Because that's what I'm seeing right now. Because it basically, you have to have zero trust, because a firewall's not enough these days, especially with government backed, nation state backed hacking organizations who are very well funded, and they're very, very smart. They're not competing with your firewall. They're taking out the weakest link. What they're doing is they're targeting people inside the organization, or they're targeting the supply chains. They find the weakest link and then they go after that person or that system or that process. They they infiltrate that weakest link and then they're inside your network. So if they compromise one system inside of your network, but you have zero trust, they can only go so far. Yes, they've compromised that one system and all the data on that, maybe the data on that system, if it's not encrypted, but they can't go and compromise this one to go that one and to go this one to go that one and escalate their privileges. And because that's how they've done it in the past. And that's how they're still doing it right now. If an organization doesn't have zero trust. So just think of zero trust as every system in your network is another castle. It's a castle within castles. Each one of those castles has its own moat, its own firewall, its own guards. If you think about zero trust like that, that will open up the why of why IAM is so much more popular. Why is it getting? Because organizations are taking cybersecurity way, 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 way more seriously. Because you have to. Because now nation states are attacking all types of parts and pieces of the infrastructure. They go off the weakest link, they get in, and then they just escalate their privileges. I don't know if you guys heard about this. I talked about this last week, but there was an infiltration of a major cybersecurity organization called F5. F5 supplies all kinds of devices and services to other large organizations all over the world. And they were infiltrated by a bigger fish, which is China. China's no joke, man. China is no joke. That's, of course they asked China, like, well, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, we have nothing to do with this, right? So nation states are attacking, not to attack China, because I'm sure the US does the same thing. But if a nation state, if a country, a government can back a hacker group, a bunch of talented or one talented person to go and infiltrate some supply chain that's in GitHub, right? Or just pay somebody who's already in GitHub a whole bunch of money to do something stupid, to do something crazy, so that they can get into they can get into whatever gigantic network. Money talks. So that's kind of what's happening right now. So you basically have to have zero trust, and more organizations are starting to adopt it, and so that's why you have more IAM, I'm sure. And then somebody said, security expert says IAM is a hot area. Getting in does require some experience, though. Yeah, it normally, correct me if I'm wrong, security expert, but they're wanting you to know a specific vendor a lot of times, right? Like, because there's different IAM solutions, and then they're wanting you to know, okay, we want an expert in AWS IAM, we want an expert in Cisco IAM or whatever, or we want an expert in Azure or Microsoft AD or something like that, right? So, okay, let me see here. Got some questions here. Thank you guys for your questions. I appreciate you so much. And let me go. I'm just scrolling through questions on TikTok. Get some more questions here. Somebody said, I also have a Security Plus and a degree. Manifesting to have a job like this. Manifest yourself a network and then manifest practicing on that network. That manifestation is going to definitely reap some rewards. I have a question. Does IT layoffs create hackers because of disgruntled former employees? You would think it'd be a lot more. That's a great question. As a cybersecurity person, you would think it'd be a lot more than it is. But typically, I'll tell you like this, speaking from a cybersecurity person, usually the way this market has worked is that give you an example. I have special access to a system. I know special things about organizations I've worked for and clients that I've worked for, right? Why don't I do something? If it doesn't always work out. Like sometimes something so bad has happened between me and a client or me and a employer or something, right? A disagreement, somebody comes in who's just very difficult to work with or whatever, right? The reason why I don't say anything about it is because I need to remain gainfully employed, and this career path pays me very good money because people trust me. If I was to dirty that trust, if I was to flip the table over and crash out, right? Because I was mad about what some organization did because of uh one CIO we disagreed, or one IT manager or something, some one customer, right? And I'm saying their name and I'm telling them what they did and what vulnerabilities they have and stuff like that, right? Could I do that? Yeah, I could. But why the hell would I do something like that? Like, that is so stupid. I'd be sabotaging my entire future and my kids' future. Why would I do that? So somebody said, yes, more of an insider threat due to a failure of checkouts, procedures, and holding the keys. So yes, I'm gonna get to that. I know where it's happened. Like, I've seen it happen before, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't, because I have I need my credibility to go to work to the next place. There a lot of times, either they're gonna call my old employer and ask and see, hey, is this guy cool? And my own employer is gonna be like, yeah, he was all right. He did this and he did that, or he was incredible. We're sorry to lose Bruce. He was so good and this and that, right? Why would I want to destroy my credibility as a cybersecurity person because I was mad? It's better for me to just leave on the best terms possible and not burn that bridge. 9 times out of 10, that's why we don't do it, because there's a trust factor there. You know, and normally, like, when something like that happens, you're really, it's a couple people at the organization that happen. Like, there's a conflict, but it's only a couple people in the organization you really have beef with. It's not the whole thing. Now, that said, have I seen it happen before, and does it happen? Yes, it absolutely does. And just like this LinkedIn user says, like, yes, it's called the insider threat, and it's usually because they didn't have a proper checkout procedure. Now, I'll take you one better. Like, I had one where the person was working there, cybersecurity person, and we knew all the secrets, and this dude was leaking the secrets. And it was at Department of Defense, and man, I'll never forget this, man. They had people walk in there and arrest them on the spot and take them out. It was real, because we're dealing with real information like that could get people's lives put in danger. So regardless of how you feel about the politics, the data you're protecting could hurt people who have nothing to do with the war or conflict efforts that are going on. So there's a bigger, more complex picture going on than the narratives you hear online and social media. And you got to get out of your own head about that kind of stuff. These narratives are what make, in what I've seen, make people an insider threat, because they're they're not seeing the big picture. Does it happen? Yes, I've seen it happen. Very rarely. I've seen it happen like maybe a couple times out of 20. I've been doing this over 20 years. Um, in the background, does it happen? Probably more than what I've seen, having not been in manager roles this whole time. But and those are usually handled, on the back end. But yeah, it's called an insider threat. It's where somebody is working for the organization, and a couple of things happen where the person's disgruntled about something, and they try to take out the organization. It does happen, and that's why you have all these background checks on us, because they know, hey, we're giving this guy the keys to the castle. This person's going to know where all of our skeletons in every closet are. Like, we have to know we can trust this person. And so they'll do a thorough background check where sometimes they'll call your old employers, they'll call people out of nowhere. They'll call um, old acquaintances, old peers you worked with. So they're trying to vet you to see, okay, is this person trustworthy, or we want them to work for our bank as an IT professional, but we want to make sure they didn't ever rob the bank. You know what I mean? Like that. So yes, it does happen. It does happen. I don't like usually you don't do it because you have a life, you have family to feed, right? Larry says, thoughts on AWS outage. Many are asking if this incident will lead the government to make Amazon divest from Amazon and do and of its cloud market share. But I simply don't see it happening. Now, I don't. So number one, what he's talking about is this actually impacted me directly. Like I use a couple services that to help me to do these videos. Like one is restream.io. It just didn't work. And then another one is a couple cloud, a couple editors I use didn't just stop working. And I was like, what the hell's going on? I clicked it, get out of it, go to another browser. And I'm like, what's happening here? Is it me? Is my network working? And then come to find out there's a gigantic outage that affected Netflix and affected all these other organizations because they all use AWS Cloud, not Google Cloud, not Azure Cloud, Google Cloud. I mean, Amazon AWS Cloud. That's how impactful and powerful AWS is. AWS is, I had no idea how deep it went. But to answer your question, Larry, no, they're not going anywhere. And the reason why is because there's nowhere else to go. AWS is too big to fail. And I'm not saying that to be facetious or anything. And that's literally, there's no other place for them to go. It's This is something that could have happened with any cloud because there was some kind of mistake. From my understanding, what happened, it was an error in their domain name system, and there are two different applications that were updating a domain. So imagine like a server that has one file, and that file tells the every system where to go. That's a DNS. It so they had two different applications that were rewriting that file, and it came up to where this file is blank. And so the other organizations were trying to figure out where to go, like going to a phone book, and then the phone book is blank. And so they would come into the AWS public cloud to figure out where to go. Okay, where's my data? And that phone book is blank, and it's like turning the page. AWS quickly figured it out, like within hours. They fixed it. But then there was another problem. The queue of all of the requests from all over the world, from millions and millions of different requests, are queued up. And so it still worked, but they had to go through that entire queue one by one. And that's why the outage stretched on for like another, few hours. I think it would last for like 14 hours or something. So the real outage, the thing that they fixed, like they probably fixed that within a couple hours, but then they had this gigantic queue that had to keep getting served, and that it is so many transactions that it took like another 14 hours to get all those through. So that's kind of what happened. Is Netflix now going to divest from AWS? No, no. I think this is one of those things that could have happened at Azure. It could have happened at any kind of organization that gets large enough is going to have problems like this. Networking. If you're a networking person, you're familiar with gigantic outages like this. It happens from time to time. It's just the nature of the beast. It's just the more complex and large something is, these things do happen. But the great thing about it is that they're now figuring out, okay, now we know how to fix this to where this doesn't happen again. And that said, is something else will happen undoubtedly in the future. I mean, think about Google. Google's gone down a couple times, and they've had to learn these kinds of lessons. But it's led to things like them creating things like Borg. If you've ever heard of that, Borg, I'm sure most people never heard of it, but they had something in the back end that they used to help developers quickly spin things up. Borg became something called Kubernetes, the open source version of Borg that was previously used inside of Google. And that's from Google learning how to go fast with developers, allowing developers to use containers very quickly. And that became, Kubernetes. Correct me if I'm wrong, internet historians. But so yeah, it's just them learning stuff. I don't think that they're gonna divest from it. If anything, maybe they'll be like, okay, maybe we can expand and we'll make another version of it. We'll have another offsite. We'll keep everything we have in AWS regions and in Azure. I mean, in availability zones, but we're gonna also have one on Google's cloud or something, to where if this one goes down, we can bounce it over there. Somebody said AWS outage primarily affected customers that did not have redundancy configured settings in place. Yeah, and that's another thing, is that it impacted a certain region on AWS. Like I think it was East, right? Like AWS is all over the world, and they design it in such a way that you don't have to be in one region. You can be in the western part of the US and the eastern part of the US, so that if this part goes down, you automatically switch over to that other side. So, and then he says government has their own region with their own support teams. Yeah, and that's another thing. Government has what's called gov cloud. So they have their own private cloud where it's not really impacted directly by what other people are going through. They already have their own redundancies built in, so they'll yeah, I don't see them moving on to anything else. The recent AWS outage makes the concept of a multi-cloud architecture, such as having both. Yeah, this is what I think they'll probably do. AWS and Azure, a great but expensive idea. Yeah, so you would have you. So one of the things probably organizations like Netflix, I mean, what I would do if I was a CIO would be to say, okay, look, maybe some of our most important things should be on not only AWS but also on Azure, the second biggest infrastructure in the world. It'll be in Azure. And then if we're in China, we'll also have not only on our private cloud in AWS, but we'll also have it on Alibaba's, so that way if something goes down there, we're good. We have two different, that would be super expensive, but maybe they could do something like that. But I don't think they'll move away from it. I mean, if people are saying stuff like that, then I don't know. I mean, I just don't see that happening. It's just when you see the magnitude and how large AWS is, like they don't really have a competitor. To be honest with you, the closest competitor is Microsoft, and I don't, and it's not even a close second. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think Microsoft probably catch up with them, and there might be some other solutions that'll eventually get there. But right now, they own like 30% of the market share of all cloud, man. Hey, I just wanted to tune in, but I've been following a little bit now. Question might be a little unrelated, but I have been wanting to ask. Okay, there are many opportunities. Are there many opportunities to work ISO with clearance fully remote? Yeah, hit me up. I've got one. I can send you a couple different ones as an ISO. I'm pretty sure I can send you their way. Like if you're a legit ISO, you already have a clearance, then I can show you a couple that are out there. It's way more in office, okay, for ISO work, because obviously ISOs, and if let me back up. Okay, so an ISO is an information system security officer. These are GRC people who work with the US government. That's all it is. It's a GRC expert who works in the government. They know NIST 800. They know NIST CSF. They know how to apply those. They do a lot of documentation, like a plan of action and milestone. They do things like a system security plan. They participate in audits. There sometimes they can be technical. It depends on the job. But that is what an ISO is. But if you guys are interested in, if you are an ISO and you are like, man, I have a clearance. I want a remote job. I want this kind of job. Hit me up. I can send you, like or better yet, join the group ConvoCourses. And every now and then I'll post jobs inside of ConvoCourses.com. If you go to login.convocourses.com, I'm posting jobs there's so many opportunities always happening. You'd be surprised. Some of them are way better than ISO jobs. There's some that are way, 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 way better than ISO jobs. I know that sounds crazy, but you can remotely work. There's so much opportunity. That's why it's frustrating when people say, oh, there's no jobs. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think some of it's mindset. Don't get me wrong, in some career paths, I think definitely there's no jobs. In some places, if you're not willing to work for a certain amount of money, or if you have all these different requirements, then yeah, you probably are not going to have a really hard time. It's not going to be as easy as it was 10 years ago or whatever. But if you're willing to do whatever it takes to take care of your family, if you like me, right? Like I'm speaking to myself out there. If you are like, I'm not gonna be broke. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna take as many years as possible to learn this craft. I'm not gonna live like I did when I was a kid. I'm willing to do whatever it takes and make it whatever kind of sacrifice. If that is you, if I'm speaking to you right now, come to ConvoCourses. I'm posting jobs out there. If you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach it. Most 98% of the stuff I put out there is free. There's a ton of people that are experts who are already doing this kind of stuff, and they're giving out free game. So you want to call it a course, or you're offended by that term course. Call it whatever you want, content, but it's free on YouTube. Go to YouTube. There's a ton of free stuff out there. There's a way for you to learn it. There's people already doing what you want to do, your dream job. It's out there. It exists. You got to believe that it's possible first. I think that's the first job. The first thing is that we have to believe that it's possible. If you don't believe it's possible, you're not even going to try. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't believe there's somebody out there for you and you're lonely, you don't believe it's even possible, you're not even going to look. But if you believe, it's not even about belief. It's about numbers. If you think about it, it's a probability, right? Dating, jobs, whatever, businesses, it's a numbers game. Dating. There's 7 billion human beings on planet Earth. 50% of them are the opposite gender. Some of the opposite gender is okay with being with your gender. You got a better than 50 shot of finding not only a person who loves you, but a person who will do anything for you. Right? Like, you have a better than 50-50, but you got to believe it's possible first. If you don't believe it's possible, then it's just not, because you're not even going to think about it. Same thing with jobs. It's a numbers game. There is a job that's going to pay better than what you have right now. That is a better situation. The more requirements you add to it, the higher the less the probability, the harder it is going to get those jobs. The jobs narrow, the more requirements you put, the more narrow the path gets, but it's still there, right? Like, if you say, I want a job, you can go down the street and get a job right now and work at McDonald's. If you say, I want a job that makes $50,000 a year, that's going to be a little bit harder. If you say, I want a job that makes $50,000 a year in IT, harder still. You see what I'm getting? It's a numbers game. If you put yourself out there, the first thing is you got to believe it's even possible. And The belief isn't even that much of a stretch of the imagination, because think of it like this: somebody else is definitely doing the job that you love. Somebody's doing it right now. Somebody's not only doing it, but they're making more money, double. They're making double whatever you're making. Somebody is doing it. And you know where that somebody is? They're on motherfucking YouTube right now talking about it just like me. Go to YouTube, go to Google, find the person, and then follow them. Listen to what they're saying and how they did it. Some people are not going to match they're going to be born on third base and got a home run, right? Some people, they were born rich. They were born in a privileged area. They had 30 years to fucking train. They had fucking they had $1 million to start their fucking business or whatever, right? Not all of us are born like that. Somebody like yourself, somebody who had less than you. I think Alex Hormozy said something like this. I don't want to take credit for what he said, but he said something like, no matter what your situation is, this one stuck with me. Somebody who's not as smart as you, who started off with less than you, is making triple what you're making right now. That person exists right now. Tell me I'm wrong. Now you got to ask yourself a question. How can I be down? What did they do that you didn't do to get them there in that spot? What did they do? Did somebody who has had a worse life than you, who's not even as smart or smarter than you, right? But not right now, they make double what you make, or make the dream what you want to make. They make that amount, or they just make more than you. That person exists right now, and I guarantee you that person's on YouTube talking about it for free right now. That you can go and find that person and be like, okay, what? I know because I'm meeting these people. I'm meeting these people, and I'm like, damn. And then I asked them, rather than being jealous or being a hater and be like, oh, they just because they're this or that. I'm like, no, how did you do it, man? I want to know. Teach me. And then I listened to them. I remember one of the epiphanies I had was about real estate. Like, I met a few people who were like real estate millionaires, and rather than being jealous or or dreaming up some reason why they succeeded and I didn't, I just asked them a question. I said, hey, how did you do it? And they told me. They sat down and told me, like, this is what I did. And lo and behold, some of it, I was one step away from doing that thing. And I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a millionaire now, but I started getting into real estate. I have a couple properties, I mean, not bad for a fucking high school dropout. You know what I mean? So if I can do it, you can do it. Like, the first step is to believe it's possible. There are remote ISO positions. For the last, as a matter of fact, since 2014, I've been doing nothing but remote ISO positions. I had one at NASA. Believe I had that one for like 3-4 years, and then I had one at oh man, where else? A place I don't really want to talk. I don't really want to mention the name of it right now because I need my job. But I had a couple other jobs that were ISO positions that it's remote. I've been doing nothing but remote ISO positions for the last since 2014. It's possible, man, and not a single one makes less than 100,000, and you can do it too. It wasn't the best conditions. I mean, some I had to work for some assholes. I had to work for, and sometimes it's not cool, but I'm like, damn, I need to feed my family. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take these blessings and I'm gonna make the best out of them. You can do it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm telling you. You got this. But the first step is that you got to believe it's possible. And you don't have to believe nothing. Like, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers realistically. Get out of your own head. Don't believe all the hype of I watch a lot of YouTube, and lately the negativity on there is just, it's getting to the point where I just don't even watch it anymore. There's so much negativity. It could just be my algorithm, but I think it's because negativity just sells better. It just sells better, you know? Like it's more catchy if somebody says, you know, the world's going to blow up in because of X than it is to say, here's how you can fix your credit or something. You know, it's just more catchy if people say negative things. You got to get out of your own head and get out of these narratives that are so negative about everything. Focus on positive, and then look at the numbers, like look at the big picture, and focus on things you can control, not on a bunch of stuff that you can't really control. I mean, I'm not telling you don't vote or something. Yeah, go and vote and stuff, but you can't we can't control if our government does this deal with this other country. Like, it's out of my hands at this point. Like, what I can do is make more money for my kids. That's what I can do. You know what I mean? Like, focus on stuff you can control. I can get this certification and up my skill set. I mean, that's what I need to focus on, not what deal so and so made with this other country. Somebody said, and also what are possible salaries I would realistically expect to be given years of experience. It also depends on where you're at too. Um, to get a good idea, what you could do is go to here. Let me show you. ISO salary US. Okay, I'm just googling it right now. I'll give you an idea, but I want to show you where you can search this up for yourself. So here I am on Google, and there's a couple sites, salary.com, ZipRecruiter, and some others that'll give you an idea of what the salary is. And it depends on what location it as well. But for an ISO salary in the US, ISO, that's all I typed into Google here. You can do some Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever. The average salary for an information system security officer in the United States is approximately 118,000 per year, and typically range between 95,000 and 138,000. This is accurate. Yeah, this is accurate. So they give you an idea. Some folks that I work with are making around 108. And last place I was at, it was between 120 and about 150. So this is a little low. I make right now about 135. I That's not to brag whatsoever. I mean, there's people making triple what I make or double what I make, right? I'm just being real with you. And to be honest with you, my insurance is so freaking high that this I make more like 118. Anyway, so yeah, this is about right. 180. Depends on what state you're in. So this is around the salary right here. This is a good average. Um, Let me see what else. So ISOs, I know that there's some big ballers out there on cybersecurity. There's some big ballers, man, making like 250 to 300. There's some ballers. But for those of us who are starting out, right? You're probably not going to make that kind of income as an ISO, as a GRC person. And keep in mind the work we're doing. Like, there are Meta jobs. Like, Meta just put out something. Meta, OpenAI, those guys are paying like 200 for ISOs. So if you can get those jobs, those are very, very, very competitive. But if you can get those, yeah, they're paying with all of the perks and all of their dope ass stock options and stuff. You're going to be pulling down 200 or more. But the average for just regular folks, yeah, it's around 118. But that's not bad. That's more than the average American makes. I mean, that's not bad. Depends on the area too. Like, if you said Virginia, let's say Virginia, let me show you what I'm talking. Virginia, it's gonna be a different number, a little bit higher. See, 133 is the average in Virginia, but granted, In the DMV area, they pay way higher amount. Um, and then let's look at versus Omaha, Nebraska. Nebraska. So you get an idea of like what's the range. 76,000. Now keep in mind Nebraska, number one, don't have that many jobs and the cost of living is way, way lower. So 80,000 in Nebraska is pretty good. 80,000 in DMV area is not good. Not good. And then watch this. Watch this. Let me show you another one. New York. New York is a different, it's a whole nother ball game because it's way more expensive there. 150, right? 150 is the average. And then if you say, watch this one, San Francisco. So I know this one's going to be pretty high. Yeah, so it's about up there with New York. 139 to 149, 150. So yeah, those are the ranges that you can expect. Not bad. Okay, let me see if I got any more comments. Thank you guys for your questions. I appreciate everything. Remember, your question actually helps a lot of different other people who will see this years later and potentially change their whole life. I know I've gone down these rabbit holes where it changed one thing changed my whole life. I would say cloud was one of those things. Just me asking questions like, wait a minute, what? And then I go down this rabbit hole like learning more and more and more, and then all of a sudden now I'm a cloud guy. You know what I mean? So let me see questions on TikTok. Let me see. More companies are trying to go to the old school on premise again, private cloud, because of those incidents. I remember saying that I don't put all your eggs in one baskets. They're all talking about the outage of what happened with AWS. Taking a Google CS course. GRC is what I do, what I want to do. What do I need to do besides CompTIA? What do I need to do besides CompTIA? I would say one of the main things you can do. There's a couple things you can do to cheat. Like what you can do to cheat is go to LinkedIn and type in GRC. 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 What people don't ask, the proper question is, how do I get in GRC in a specific industry? Because GRC is focused on specific industries. And I'll show you what I mean in a second here. But let's just type in GRC in LinkedIn to look at the market. Well, like I said, you want to cheat. So if you go here, if you look at these jobs will tell you what they're looking for. So this will tell you what kind of things that you need to have aside from 10 years experience, background in healthcare systems. Look at that. Right? Because this is in healthcare. This is a GRC job in healthcare, more than likely. Let me see what I didn't look at it. Risk consultant. Another thing is GRC jobs have different names. It's not usually called GRC, Different there's different names for each one of these. SA risk consultant, health counselor, this one's not even cybersecurity focused. So this is not a good one for us to look at. Let me look at another one here. This is a better one, I think. Let's look at this one. Now, this is in financial sector, I think. IT audit consultant. This is a type of GRC job. Remember, GRC is not just governance, it's risk management and compliance. So there's what we're looking for to cheat is in a given industry, what kinds of things are they looking for that industry? GRC analyst. Don't be fooled. Don't just look at this number right here. $80 an hour remote. Don't just look at that. You want to be um accessible to this position. Like if you really want to win, you need to know what exactly they want you to have in your career path. This is a process. And then this process, what we're trying to do is make ourselves more attractive to multiple employers. The more employers we can make ourselves attractive to, that it lends itself to a process that will eventually land us a job, a good job, a pretty good position that's better than most people have. So look at this. It's telling us we're cheating because it's telling us what they want us to know. They want us to know how to develop and maintain system plans. Now, if you don't know what a system plan is, you got to go find out what that is. They want us to track and manage findings, risk, and mediation activities for a risk register. You don't know what those things are, you need to figure them out. This is telling us what they want us to know. Now, here's another thing you can do. You can actually look at people's resumes. GRC. All I did was type in the GRC. Now, all these badasses, these people that you see that are listed here, these are all badass people. They put the right things and to make the algorithm put them first. They're coming from all walks of life. So what did she put on her? What we want to know is what did she put on her resume that made her stand out? What kinds of language is she using? What kinds of skills does she have? We want to have those same skills. Now, keep in mind, my searches are not going to look like yours because, this algorithm is tailored towards me. So it's looking in my area, things like that. But this is the kind of research you want to do to make yourself more attractive to a GRC jobs. You want to align yourself with GRC jobs by knowing what types of things they're looking for in GRC roles. This guy's very, very technical. Not all GRC jobs are technical. So what you want to do, bottom line is, what you want to do is, number one, know that GRC is specific to each industry. Give you a couple examples. So government, they're going to want you to know a specific type of frameworks. They're going to want you to know NIST 800, NIST CSF, FSMA, FedRAMP, things like that. If you're in the financial sector, it's different. They're going to want you to know Sarbanes-Oxley, Graham-Bliley. I don't know how to pronounce it. But there's a couple of laws, acts, and things that they're going to want you to know. And different documents they want you to have experience with. At the very least, even if you don't have direct experience with these things, you want to be familiar with them enough to be able to speak on it in an interview. That's going to take you a long way. You can even go a little bit further by writing your own standard operating procedures in that field and policies in that field. Examine some policies that are actually in that field. You can find those on Google right now. Real policy. People put their policies out for banks, for hospitals, for you name it, right? Oh, there's old ones out there. They're not exposing any kind of critical information. It's basic security practice type stuff that anyone can do. Another industry. Now, there's hundreds and hundreds of industries and sectors. I'm just giving you a few that will lead you down the right path. And to give you an example of like, there's different industries. Each one of those has different GRC people that specialize in different standards, matrices, and laws and compliance. So another one is retail. Another one is, I don't know, transportation. Another one's energy. All of these have their own laws that they have to abide by. What they have all in common that you really need to know is best security practices. All right, that's why I always encourage people to do the Security Plus, because Security Plus, it gives you all the best security practices. Somebody said SCADA, and then somebody said PCI DSS for card. Yes, you're on the right track. Each one of these is relying on a different industry, because I could tell you, having done GRC in the government for a long time, we don't normally do PCI DSS. That's like not a normal thing that we do. It's not part of our, we don't need it. So unless you work in the PX on base, they probably need it. Yes, and people are chiming in with like the Sarbanes-Oxley controls may also include access audit logs. This is for the financial sector. Yeah, this person's on top. There's some really sharp people here. Thank you guys for chiming in, helping other people out. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for that, Arwin. That's exactly right. Let me see. Matthew TV says, is it possible to land a remote GRC position in America if I live abroad? So this is a great question, and I'm going to say no. No, because here's why. Well, it depends on the industry. Okay, let me backtrack. For the government, no. For the US government, working overseas, I know because I've been trying to do that for years. And no. They usually want you to be in CONUS, which is continental United States. That said, I have worked for a couple of international organizations that we had cybersecurity people, not necessarily GRC, but we had cybersecurity people who were in other countries. We had people in parts of South America. We had people in Europe. We had people in parts of Asia. All of us worked. I would say, in my experience so far, right? And this is just based off of my own experience, what I've seen when I was working at Verizon, and we had people all over the world. We were all cybersecurity consultants, not GRC though. We had to be pretty skilled. Like, you had to be pretty, how do I put this? All of us were pretty deep in cybersecurity. We had many, many years of experience, and we had to take a client and run with that client. Like, it was our client. So you had to be able to speak really, really well to that client. And yeah, so it's possible. I would say this: if you work abroad, US, one thing, listen, I've been to 15 different countries. Okay. I lived in about 3 or 4 of those. And I lived in Korea for some time. I lived in Middle East for some time. I've been in and out of Europe. Other countries have better healthcare by far. Their whole healthcare system is better than anything the US has. Maybe not technically, but as far as taking care of people, it's better. A million years better than the US. I've been to places where their infrastructure is way better. Germany's infrastructure is way better than the US. They actually take care of it. I mean, it's crazy. The food is better in every place I've been at in the US. People's attitudes are better in other countries, I would say, in a couple other countries, not all. One thing the US excels at that's best by far. There's many other things, but one thing stands out, and that's money. The ability to get very good paying jobs, because the US keeps companies first. And US companies are better than are put on a pedestal over human beings, which is not the best if you actually live here. I don't want my politics to get in the way of your feelings here, but I don't mean to. I'm going to get off that soapbox, but this comes from a veteran who loves the United States. By the way, I know that some people are in their feelings about it. Don't want me to say anything bad. The jobs are incredible here. That said, the normally remote jobs Having done remote jobs for over 10 years now, they want you to be within the United States or within that country, that the country of origin. Normally, they want you to stay in that country. What I've noticed is much more rare, much more rare, is there's jobs that allow you to work from anywhere. I've had a couple of jobs that allowed me to work from anywhere, and they're rare. They're very rare jobs. Um, so the person's question was, can you find a GRC job in the US working from another country? Not for the government. No, unless you work for Department of State. Department of State, I believe you can live in another country working for them, but you have to be in the country of the consulate or embassy that you're working in. And I want to say they mostly hire US citizens, but no, not all. Not all. They do have some non-US citizens working for them, I believe. Anyway, um cybersecurity jobs as a whole, you can find those jobs because I've worked for a couple that allows you to work from anywhere. We had other people working for other countries, so it is possible. And chime in, you guys who've seen these jobs before. Please chime in, give examples of it. A security expert says, in this industry, it's important to continuously learn new things while you're in your current job. This keeps keeps you agile and ready to pivot when unexpected events like layoffs occur. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the benefits of cybersecurity as well, is that I always have to stay on my toes. And the times when I was at my laziest, where I just did nothing but GRC for many years and just got off of my technical side, and then the market shifts, and then I'm like, damn, I got to go back and learn networking or something. I had a job like that for like 5 years where I did pure documentation for like 4 years, and I started to lose my skills. And then when I had to get back into it, I had to like relearn and get my hands back on those systems and stuff. So somebody said, is it beneficial to receive mentorship from American cybersecurity professionals if I'm from it depends on what you're doing. Like I've had mentors and not necessarily mentors, but people I follow very closely that are from other countries. Like there's a dude named he's not my I don't know him personally, but I dive into his stuff like hours and hours and hours. This dude named Stefan Merrick, that guy is a cloud guy who is from France and living in, I don't know, somewhere in Europe. And that guy, I follow him religiously. And there's several. There's an Australian guy I'm currently following to get deeper into the cloud right now. I'm following his stuff religiously. So there's tons of people. Like there's a bunch of Canadians who I admire. There's this one lady named Tech with Lucy. She's from, I think, Singapore. I'm not sure, but I love her stuff. Yeah, there's a ton of other influencers who I watch religiously, who not, I don't know them personally as a mentor, but it doesn't matter what country you're like. That's the great thing about IT, is that it's about the fundamentals. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's a universal language that you just learn the fundamentals, and it doesn't matter if the person it's regardless of what country you're coming from. I remember I learned to build apps from a Vietnamese guy who only spoke Vietnamese. That guy was incredible. His stuff was so good. He only spoke Vietnamese, and he just showed the screen and he would show you what he was doing, and it was all Vietnamese, but I was followed along with what he's doing, and I would create a whole damn app, a couple apps, just off following his dope ass stuff from YouTube. That guy was so good. I found him and gave him some money. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what country, if as long as they're following the fundamentals and you get something out of it, that's what matters the most. That's what I really love about IT and engineering and technical stuff, is because it's universal, and it's designed, it's going to help every human if we use it properly. I mean, it's like a hammer. You don't have to use it for good. You don't have to, you can use it to do other things with that hammer, you know what I mean? But it could be used for good. I choose to use it for good. Who is the Australian guy? Um, I can't pronounce his name. Catrillo. I think he's a UK guy who lives in Australia. I found him on Reddit, and his stuff is incredible, man. Stuff's incredible. Um, he teaches cloud stuff. Do you mentor? I currently don't mentor. What I've been doing is to slowly get myself in the game, is to help people with their. Right now, what I'm doing is I'll look at people who are on the GRC roadmap. GRC roadmap course. Let me show it right here. Quick plug. I'm not. I have a limited amount of time, so I don't know how many people I could do this for. But I have this course right here. What I started doing is helping people to develop a GRC roadmap. Meaning, if you want to get into GRC is like the main thing I do, the thing I've been doing for 20 plus years in different industries. And so I'm showing people, look, let's draw out a roadmap for you. I'm meeting people directly and saying, okay, where are you at? Like, after they go through this 8 hours of course, and that walks you through some GRC stuff, by the way, and walks you through NIST CSF. Then what I'll do is I one-on-one with them and say, okay, let me see your resume. Let me see your information. What's your goals? How can we get you from here to there? Okay, you are an IT guy. Let's see what you know. Here's what you need to do. You do these things. It's going to take you X amount of time, or how much time you put into it. Here's how you can get there. That's what I'm doing right now. This is $38 per month. This is the first time I've done anything like this, like a subscription model. I've not done this before. But if you don't have the money, I understand, especially in these hard times, just join the group. Like, join the group, ask questions. There's somebody's going to answer your question. Like, it's very young. We just started. There's only 60, 50 people here. Join the group, join us. I give out free stuff all the time. There's a ton of free stuff I'm gonna put in here. Like, this is free. This certification this guide that Ryan made is free. This downloadables was free. I've got tons of other free stuff just haven't had the time to put in here yet. Yeah, just join. Is RMF going away? That's a good question. So the DoD or DOW, I don't whatever they're calling it these days. DoD is trying to get away from. They're trying to have a faster way of doing risk management framework. And for those of you who don't know, the risk management framework is GRC for the government. For the U.S. government, they use something called the NIST 800 and NIST CSF, but mainly the NIST risk management framework. And so it's a very slow process. It's very thorough. It's very granular, and it takes like 8 months to get through it, right? If you're lucky. And they're trying to, what the DoD CIO has done is she's trying to push towards something that's faster. So what they did was they came up with something called Construct, the CSRM Construct that they're promoting right now. So this is at the Department of War.gov site. This is a government site. They're already talking about it. Cybersecurity risk management construct. And they've kind of laid out what they want it to look like, but this is as far as they've gotten so far. So the way this department, how to put this, the way this administration runs is they'll just do things, and if they do things to see how it looks, and they'll just put it out there, and then they promote the shit out of it, whether it's good or bad. um, it's kind of reverse. More of how China does things. Is they just tell you how it's going to be, and then they do it, which is good or bad. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. That said, this is not out yet. Like, I'm working in the federal government. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're still on NIST 800, right? It's going to take, how many years it's going to take to switch to this? The US is gigantic. It's like whenever we make a major change, a change, right? It's like a battleship turning. It's going to take a while for that ship to turn. It's gigantic. It takes a while. Like, there's so many moving parts to it. You can come up with these kind of things all you want, but for all of us to get on in line with this is going to take at least a few years, because you got weapon systems that are already using NIST CSF. So, I mean, NIST risk management framework. So how it's just going to take a while to get on something else. And they don't have any details here. We don't have any details about how do we do security controls. Like, they haven't explained that. Is there a new book coming out? Like, is there a guidance that's going to take us through all of this? There's none of that. Or maybe they just put it here. Let me see. Let's see what we have here. They have a whole a pretty little diagram. Nice. Well, this looks nice. But where are my security controls? Are they still going to use the NIST 800? You know what I mean? So this is just concept of operation at this point. This is what they want to do. So I could see them moving to something else here real soon. I mean, there's a lot of talk about it, and I understand why. It makes sense to me to make something that's sleeker, more in tune with times, more automated, more like that's the direction we should definitely go. But it's going to take some time, and they're going to have to roll out something way more robust than this, because we're in the weeds doing all the security controls. So we need more information than this. You know what I mean? So what are we going to use? Is it, if we want to automate this process, what are we going to code our own stuff? Are we going to go with a certain vendor? What vendors are we going to use to do this? Those kinds of things, right? Are they going to open it up to all of us? And who's going to be the person who does that? There's a lot of questions here, but yes, eventually it looks like we're going in this direction, but there's nothing solid right now telling us how that's going to work in real time. Does the GRC pay better than some technical roles in cybersecurity? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, GRC pays better than some roles in regular cybersecurity. Just to give you an idea, earlier we were looking at how much money these jobs make. Depends on what state you're in and stuff, but the average is about 118. Not all cybersecurity jobs are making that kind of money. Is it for everybody? No. It's definitely not for everybody. There's some parts of GRC that's harder. There's some parts that are easier. It's not as technical, but for all the technical that it lacks, there's a social component that's harder, I would say, than regular cybersecurity. You got to be able to speak to the CEO, then speak to technical people, and then speak to managers, and you got to be able to explain to them or say a security risk that just came out in their language. And then that exposes you to a lot of different attitudes and types of personalities that is not always easy to deal with. I would say if you're not a people person, which I'm not, I don't consider myself a people person, but if you're not a people person, it's it's going to be a little bit harder for you. Um, I think what really prepared me to be better at this was doing this for years and years, getting myself, forcing myself to do these lives has made me a better speaker, has made me better presenter, has made me better at recovering if I fall or whatever. So if you're not, if you don't want to talk to people, then GRC is not a good role. And another thing is not only verbal communication but written communication, because a lot of times we have to write things like plan of action and milestones. We have to be able to um, write things like system security plans, technical guidance, standard operating procedures. So it's writing, it's communicating, but you got to be knowledgeable enough to be able to explain those things to different audiences, you know. So those are the main things you'll do as a GRC person. But yeah, it can pay better. But that doesn't mean, I mean, there's project managers who make better money than the average GRC person. So just keep that in mind. It's just not, it's not on this pedestal. There's different tiers to it, just like anything else, right? A cybersecurity architect is going to weigh way more than the average GRC person. But a GRC person who's an executive is probably going to make way more than a cybersecurity architect, average architect. Okay, let me see. I've got a few more, and then I'm going to let you guys go. It's been 2 hours. Let me see. Security expert says sometimes taking risks is as simple as learning something new while keeping your current job. That's a low risk endeavor. Yes, and that's what I've been doing for many, many years. And Larry said, my job has always felt safe. Now, with all the furloughs and mass layoffs hitting, I understand that I am a number, and looking out for myself is the number one priority in this field. Ready to take my risks. Yeah, this is a lesson I learned almost immediately when I got out of the military. When I got out of the military, my at that time, my main job as an adult, because I got in at age like 19 and I stayed in until almost 30. And so I was in for like 8 years total. I got out. I was very scared. Had a kid, you know, I was newly married and shit. And I mean, not new, I'd been married for like 3 or 4 years or something. But I uh I got out and I was like, I'm gonna go into the corporate world. And the very first thing you feel when you get out of the military is the camaraderie is gone, right? Not not that you don't like, friends are different from comrades. Is that if that makes any sense? So your camaraderie, right, is when you have a band of brothers or sisters and you guys all have a common, you might not even be friends. You might hate this MF next to you, but you have a mission to survive. You have a mission that's bigger than yourselves. And both of you don't have the same religion, you don't have the same race, you don't have the same beliefs or perspectives, but both of you have the same mission, because that mission's bigger than any difference that you have. And all of you are on the same page. That's camaraderie. Your comrades. You become brothers and sisters because of that camaraderie, that mission, that common mission that's bigger than you. And when you get out of the military, you miss that. Well, I missed it. It was gone. And that's the first thing. And then the next thing, I was like, well, at least in corporate America, I'll make more money, which I did eventually. But what I noticed was that they don't really care about you as a person. They don't really care about you. So I got out, and my wife at the time, ex-wife now, but my wife at the time, got really sick, and I just got hired, and I just bought a house. Right, I had enough money. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm balling. I'm making $45,000 a year, baby. Balling out. Got a house, and had a baby and everything, and I had, like, my daughter was 2 years old, uh, and, my wife got sick, and she was really sick. She's in the hospital and shit, and I asked for time off. I was like, they gave me a few days off because they gave me like a couple days, but then she had hospitalized because she had a possible pulmonary embolism, if you know what that is, like where a blood clot goes through your blood. Anyway, so she was in the hospital for longer. Like they didn't even know how long it's going to be, like maybe 4 days or something. And I asked them, I said, hey guys, I don't know how many days I'm going to be out, but is it okay if I take time off? Then I'll make the time back, right? And they said I was trying to get paid while I was out because I didn't, I just got a house. I had medical bills, all this kind of stuff. I was this young dude who just got out of the military, and they were like, "Nah, it's not in line with our policies. Sorry, buddy, you're on your own." And I'm like, "Damn, I'm gonna be working for you guys for years, and this is how you're gonna treat me?" That was a wake up call. It's a numbers game, man. They don't have the numbers to help me out with that. So I was like, "All right." And that's been the lesson I keep learning over and over again. They don't care about you. I hate to say that. It seems like a sucky thing to say. I don't want to be negative, but we got to look out for ourselves and those skills. The skills you get as an IT professional, the skills you get as a cybersecurity person has been one thing I can rely on. Because even if I don't keep this job, I can always go to another place. And those skills will get me that new job if I need it. That's one thing. I can't rely on the government. I don't know what the hell they're going to do from one day to the next. Shut the damn government down, but then give $1 billion to fucking Argentina. Like, what the fuck? And then companies, same thing. Like I don't like, depends on what's going on, right? Sometimes it's awesome. Like I've been some incredible companies, but some of them are shitty, man. Really shitty. And when it comes to the dollar, if it's between a dollar and you and your kid, it's gonna be that dollar. They're gonna take that dollar every time, man. You are a number. So that made me think, like, damn, I need to get my shit like, this is not cool. Like, we have to fend for ourselves, y'all. Like, and it's those skills that'll keep them coming back to you. Those skills is important. Keep those skills going. Like, that's why we need each other. Like ConvoCourses, things like that. Like any kind of community or people you can link up with, it's a good idea because we need to sharpen steel. You know what I mean? Like that's the mindset we have to have as a community. We can't rely on companies. We can't rely on our government, any government. We got to rely on each other and our skills to get us by. And I'm not trying to be dark or trying to be negative or anything like that. The positive thing is those skills, no matter what happens, those skills will keep me employed in this country or another one, or in this company or another one. Another thing I will add, and this is not a business channel, but diversify the types of income you have, because being an employee is not the only type of income you can gain. That's another huge lesson for me that I learned. So I think that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. This conversation keeps going, by the way. If you are interested in the stuff we've been talking about, ConvoCourses.com is where you want to go and continue the conversation for free. And next week, should be next week. By the end of this month for sure, I got a free book that I'm going to be releasing. The reason why, if you're wondering, oh, it must be a shitty book because it's free. No. So what I do is I sell it on Amazon, and then I give it for free to my community. It benefits you. It benefits me because I get those juicy reviews from you when you go on there. I give it to you for free, and then you go on there and give me an awesome review or whatever. And then that boosts me up in Amazon's algorithm. And then boom, I'm making sales. So that's why I make it for free. But I only give it for free to my people. That's you guys that's watching this. And it only lasts for like 5 days. It's not out yet. I'm still doing some back end stuff with the book, but it's coming out soon. So I'm just letting you guys know. And I'm going to send out a newsletter about it. I'm going to put it on my group, and then I'll probably do another live where it's still free. But just, I'm letting you know right now that that book is coming out real soon, and it'll only be on Amazon for free as an ebook. And again, if you guys want to join me, It's login.convocourses.com. Thanks, Larry. I appreciate that link. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Join us and stay tuned because